If you're a new player or like me, someone who didn't play in a while and you need refreshing or freshening up your flight skills, I invite you to join me. So if any of you here play Elite Dangerous, this is DCS, and this is the contemporary flight systems with the fourth generation aircrafts. This one in particular is a FA-18 Hornet, the C variant for the carriers. And now we are going to relocation flight. Okay, hit it on. We have Cobuletti, we have some frequencies here. Okay, we have a Vaziani Takan 22, which will help us find the airfield after we take off.
Good
Hit
evening.
the fly button.
It's time to head over to Vaziani. Go ahead and complete the cold start procedure we learned this morning. The cold start checklist is included in your kneeboard documentation, along with the mission card for this flight, which can be accessed with the assigned key binds. All flights from this point forward will include kneeboard documents with any relevant information you need, so you can always refer to either the mission briefing or your kneeboard as references. Until we complete the navigation check ride, though, I'll include visual cues for the process so you can get used to the order of things.
Alright, so we still have visual cues for the startup. Let's do it faster this time. Okay, battery on, of course, canopy closed, APU on, O-box on, verify the flaps to half. Of course, the APU LED, it's still not on, so we have to wait till it gets green here. It's green, crank up the right engine. Let's see. This is the right engine, yeah. Oh, nailed it. Right MDI, left MDI, right MDI, sorry about that. The MPCD brightness and the other brightness, and bleeding the air after you crank the right engine radar to operate to ground, sorry, the INS to ground, right?
Roll left, roll left. Flight
Okay,
control.
come on. All right. Left MDI, support, checklist, right MDI, 2 clicks, and FCS page. Joystick off, and this, the map off, and STD heading position clicked, so the GPS settings has to start. Yeah, and it's starting. So be very careful with this. If you have the the wheel brake off, it will not start the settings on the carrier at least. Let's crank the left engine. And reset, and after that the trim. Alright, left engine has started, verifying the qualification time for the GPS is still not done. So we have to wait till the 0.546 will be shown here with a big OK on its right side. The big OK has appeared. Alright, 2 clicks for the radar to the operational procedure and start the FLIR arm, the ejection, and switch it to receive. Aorus 67 on. Takan, I think it's 32. Let's verify it in the briefing. Where is the Takan? 22X, right. Hit the Takan, put in 22, enter, and the APU has stopped as you heard. Alright, on. ILS, hit it to 11, because this is it right now, we don't need this. On IFF, on, DL on 2 times. Right, okay. Something what we missed. Oh, the big okay, we missed the INS to IFA position. And the parking brake off.
Awesome. Now that we're all ready to go, let's get our navigation set up. Using your preferred MDI, press the menu push button until you're on the support page, then press the HSI push button. On the right side, press the waypoint push button to activate waypoint navigation. Press the up arrow button to set waypoint 1, then press the sequence 1 push button to activate the flight plan. On the bottom left of the UFC, press the COM1 channel selector knob, then type in a frequency of 113.000 and press enter so you can monitor the frequency. You won't need to make any radio calls, as I'll be taking care of that on another channel, but we need to get you into the habit of setting up your comms. Slowly add throttle to get the aircraft moving and make a left turn onto the taxiway by using rudder controls. If the aircraft isn't turning fast enough, you can either reduce speed or hold down the nose while steering keybind to increase your turn rate on the ground.
Alright, so I set up my radio on first radio on the frequency 113, as you saw earlier on the HUD with the keys. Alright, now I have to start to taxi the plane, and as you can see here on the left MDI we have our first checkpoint to our right. So I'll taxi the plane on my left side, right? So I don't know if I have set these keys, but I'll try. If taxiing, I have to try to move the throttle to where is my mouse? To here where it's right 65, it has to be, let's see, the maximum of 75 thrust. So don't exceed 75. Let me just link my throttle. All right. The NWS is on, that's the nose wheel steering. So I can try easily to increase. Yeah, I'm moving. Let's see, and the rudder left. See the pedals. For me, I have no pedals. This is with my pinky on my throttle. I have 2 axes here, and I rotate it with my pinky. So as you can see, the thrust is 71 on the left engine and 72 on the right engine. I can increase
Take your time
that.
while moving down the taxiway. Make small throttle adjustments to keep your aircraft moving, while also making left and right rudder adjustments to keep your aircraft centered on the taxiway centerline.
So I increased it now to 72 and 73. It's pretty hard to maneuver with my pinky. Alright, let's increase it to 75, 74 right now, as you can see there. Alright, let's see if the brakes are working. Yes, are working. Thank you God for that. Alright.
You're approaching the entrance to the active runway. Start slowing down using the brakes and follow the taxiway centerline as it curves toward the runway using the rudder controls. Bring the aircraft to a stop just before the runway threshold, marked by the horizontal white line.
So I'll stop before I enter the airfield, because you have to look left and right to see if
Come to a stop here.
nobody comes
Double
unannounced.
check that you've activated waypoint navigation on your HSI, that sequence 1 is activated, and that you've selected waypoint 1 as your active waypoint. The tower has already cleared us for takeoff, so look left and right down the runway to ensure that no aircraft are on the runway, as well as not on a final approach for landing. Then pull out onto the runway, turn to the right and try to place yourself right on the runway numbers, 07 in this case.
Exactly that. So as you can see and hear, better said, the instructions are very clear. they are not quite verified. For example, if I pull down my plane and I stop it here, not exactly
We're
on
ready
the
for
number.
takeoff. Activate the brakes to hold the aircraft in position while advancing the throttle to full mill power. Once the aircraft's engines overcome the brakes and it begins moving forward, release the brakes and do your best to use the rudder to keep the aircraft centered on the runway centerline. At 80 knots, disable the nose wheel steering by using the appropriate keybind to reduce oversteering as we increase our speed. Assuming the takeoff trim has been set correctly, the aircraft will pitch up off the ground and begin climbing away from the runway. Once you confirm a positive rate of climb, raise the landing gear and flaps.
Alright, so as I was saying, even if I stop before the 07 letters from the airfield, I get no error message. This is possible and can be done in Mission Editor. So you can verify a player or anybody else if its plane it's on a certain perimeter or even altitude and everything else. But this is very well and enough for a beginner and for anybody who begins. It's very good not to overwhelm with information. So let's just stop here, right? And now the instructions say that we have to accelerate with the throttle till military power while holding the brakes. So this will throw the nose of the plane down a little bit, but after the power will increase, the power will pull the nose back up. When that happens, we have to release the brake, let the plane fly and take off by its own, right? After the plane takes off, we can pull the gears up and the flaps to auto position, right? So I pull the brakes right now and I accelerate, leave the brakes, I'm careful with the rudder, and we have a takeoff. Now gears up, flaps to auto. I like to hold my speed around at 350.
Now that we're in the air, press the AP button on the UFC to display the autopilot menu, then press the CPL push button to activate the autopilot's course tracking function and verify that waypoint 2 is selected on the HSI. You can also have the aircraft automatically advance to the next waypoint once you reach it by pressing the auto button at the bottom right of the HSI. It won't box while the CPL function is on, so you'll have to switch that off for a moment to enable auto, or you can just manually advance waypoints with the up and down push buttons. Climb to an altitude of 10,000 feet, then activate the BALT push button to hold the aircraft at desired barometric altitude. Double check that your altimeter mode switch is set to baro. Maintain an airspeed of 350 knots and continue flying toward waypoint 2 and await further instruction. Once you're at 350 knots, you can set the auto throttle on the aircraft using the appropriate keybind, T, to keep it there.
So, he instructed us to climb to 10,000 feet. After we climb to 10,000 feet, maintain 350 knots and lock our speed with the ATC button and lock our altitude with the barometric altitude autopilot. So there is a autopilot that maintains your altitude. The sounds you can hear right now is the autopilot disengaging because I'm messing with the throttle with the joystick. So as you can see, we are now above 10,000 feet, rolling towards waypoint 2. I'm pulling the throttle back. Yep. So pressing the autopilot button and couple for waypoint 2, right? Also, I'm coupling the altitude with the barometric altitude autopilot, as you can see here, BALT and the CPL, right? And now I have to verify, because I'm sure that I don't have the ATC button set. Let's see if I can find it. Let's just type ATC, and thank you God, it is here. So ATC, engage, disengage. This is the button for it's on the joystick. I used to have it on the throttle. On why is on button 3? All right, let me just put it back. Clear, add combo. Oh, it's the button 3. Oh my god, oh my god, how is this possible? So let's start. It's 460, right? That's too fast. He said 350. All right, let's try to find the air brake so we can slow down the plane faster. Air. Oh, it's not here. Let's just right brake. Brake. Oh, parking brake, speed brake. Yeah, so this is a little bit off as I remember. Oh my, I have something set up here. 9, 10 and 11. Let's see. Extend, it was behind. Let's see, add combo. Extend, it was behind, was here. It's 11. All right, so for me, it's the other way. Cancel. So this has to be 11. Okay. And this has to be 9. Okay. So this should be right now. Okay. Okay. Let's look behind. All right, it's working. All right, it's working. The air brake is working. All right, thank God I have the VR. I can look behind to see if it's working or not. All right, let's slow it down a little bit. And now start the ATC. So as you can see on the hood, it appeared there, ATC under the coupling from the autopilot. Yeah, so I have 345 knots. And we can accelerate time by pressing left control Z on the keyboard, and like this. We have no sound then, and stopping the accelerating time by pressing left shift Z on the keyboard. So we will arrive on waypoint 2 shortly, but till then we press F10 and we have the map representation, as you can see. So we probably left from Kobuleti and we are heading towards Vatsiani here, near Tbilisi, Georgia. So this is Georgia, and this is the capital of Georgia, as I remember, Tbilisi. And this is Vatsiani, the airport we're heading towards. So pressing F1 will bring back the plane. And actually didn't bring back the plane, as you can see right now. I pressed the F1 key, which was bound by mistake or intentionally to changing a scene. And I lost 1 hour and a half of recording or something like that. I recorded a black screen. Now, sadly, I have to redo the recording, and here it is as it follows.
To get you familiarized with the proper use of the E-bracket, let's disable the B-alt on the autopilot, slow down to less than 250 knots, then drop the landing gear and lower the flaps to full. Do your best to control the aircraft as the surfaces change, holding an altitude of about 10,000 feet and reducing your airspeed to about 170 knots. As the aircraft settles down, begin making small throttle and pitch trim adjustments to keep the speed at about 170 knots and the velocity vector aligned with the horizon indicator on the HUD. Once you're in the correct configuration and settled, press the I/P button at the top left of the UFC to signal me that you're ready for further instruction.
Okay, so now as you heard and see, these are the instructions for the gliding procedure, which will take place in 2 stages. So basically you have to slow down your plane to 250 knots, maintain 10,000 feet and take out the gears at 250 and set the flaps to full and maintain the plane at this altitude only with trim adjustments without using your pitch axis from your joystick, right? This is not easy, especially if you're a beginner and you're learning now, but it's not too difficult either. So you can do it, just keep practicing. So first we take out the autopilot, so the altitude autopilot off, and take out also the heading autopilot and take off the speed autopilot, which is the ATC. Right, so now the speed is beginning to drop, 340. I'm also bringing back down my throttle. Right, I will enable some airspeed. So as you can see back there, airspeed is open. Now I have 290. I'm closing the airspeed, letting the plane slow down by itself. Alright, now I'm ready and I will lower my gear. As you can see, gear is out. The plane has already nose up and the E-bracket is out, as you can see. I'm accelerating a little bit because my speed is 200, and now I'm lowering my flaps to the full position. And the plane definitely has its nose in up. Now I'm accelerating and I'm trying to maintain that 170 knots. I'm trimming up, trim down, 168. So this is something like this. So the instruction told us that we should press the IP button once we have the plane settled at an altitude of about 10,000 feet, which is 9,890 right now, and slightly climbing. The speed of 170 knots, just like it's here, the altitude it's here, and this is the velocity vector, which has to be aligned with the horizon line, and that's the E-bracket up there. Right, let's press the IP button.
Now that we're configured for landing, you should see the E-bracket on the HUD. The movement of the E-bracket is primarily controlled with the throttle, though the actual way it works is a bit more complicated than that. For now, let's just assume that more throttle moves the E-bracket up and less throttle moves it down. The E-bracket is meant to be used in conjunction with the velocity vector to get your aircraft at the proper angle of attack for a landing. To do this, first start by ensuring that your velocity vector is on the horizon to prevent loss of altitude, then slowly pull back on the throttle to bring the E-bracket down toward the horizon. As you do so, start slowly adding small amounts of nose-up pitch trim to keep the velocity vector locked to the horizon. The idea is to keep the velocity vector as stationary as possible with trim and bring the E-bracket down to it with the throttle. Avoid using the stick to make pitch inputs, as we need to get the aircraft trimmed properly so it stays at the proper angle by itself, and the stick doesn't do that. Once the E-bracket comes down to the velocity vector, your aircraft is set to the proper angle of attack for landing. Ideally, you want the velocity vector lined up as closely as possible to the middle mark of the E-bracket, but as long as it's within the upper and lower bounds of the bracket, you're fine. Take some time to get used to this idea, because we'll be doing this again when we approach Vatsiani. Once you're comfortable with how it works, press the I/P button to let me know you're all set.
Alright, so basically what he says is that we have to slow the plane down even more. So when we're slowing the plane more, the E-bracket will get lower towards the horizon line. Let's try doing that, right? Pulling back on the throttle a little and doing this, also trim up to bring up, align this with the horizon line, yeah? So as you can see, it's already lowered a little. Our speed is going down easily and the E-bracket is coming down slowly but surely. Let's trim it up again. Yes, trimmed up once again. 158 airspeed, 157, 156. And as you can see, the E-bracket is coming down. Now trim up again, and we are almost at the position. See, the E-bracket is now hitting the horizon line and the velocity vector. So this is where all should stay, if everything goes. Now accelerate, yeah, so that the E-bracket is climbing up, and this is an acceptable position. Of course, I could trim up just for a bit and accelerate just a little bit, and now it's almost at the center. As you can see, almost at the center. But there is enough room to wiggle, accelerate, and it's coming back up and decelerate. The speed is 143. This can be even much more slower at 135. I think that's the slowest speed that it is. Before stall, let's see where we are on the map. So we are at the halfway to Vatsiani. F1, let me just verify once again if I'm streaming something, not to do something like I did yesterday, and I had to redo this once again just because I had a key misprogrammed in it, right? So this is it. See, the plane is gliding. Look at this. Look at its position. Let me turn it around. Look. See its angle. It's actually gliding because the flaps are lowered to full position and it's catching the air under its wings. Beautiful. Look at this. Look at this. How beautiful is this? All right, let's put it back. F1. See how easily it's holding. This is the FA18. It's the fly-by-wire miracle. You don't have to touch anything and the plane is gliding. The computer does everything for you. Alright, let's get out of this. Let me just check the message history, so you can do this. Check your message history if you forget everything that is written here or your instructions. So it says here, take some time to get used. Yes, we got already used. We are only remembering this stuff. Once you're comfortable with how it works, press IP. So, pressing IP again, resume. Pressing IP, let's see what...
Okay, hopefully you've mastered controlling
what instructions we get.
Velocity vector by this point. It's time to get to the airfield, but we're not going to get there very quickly in this configuration. Let's raise the flaps and landing gear, and throttle up to around 350 knots. Get back to 10,000 feet of altitude if you're not there already and continue on to waypoint 3. Don't forget to reset your autopilot, unless you just want to fly manually.
Alright, so basically we are going back to the initial position. Gears up, flaps to auto. The speed is already increasing. And trim up. Whoops, come on. Come on. Come on. 260. See how much we trimmed down when we had the flaps to full position. And now I have the velocity vector aligned with the horizon again. The plane should be leveled. Yep. Just a little bit of trim up. Oh, it's too fast right now. Right, let me just slow it down a little. I'm applying the air brake. Alright. Shutting down the air brake right now. I can feel it in my throttle. And started the ATC. Let's disable the ATC and brake even more. Because he said 350. Yeah. So at least 358. So I'll be in the range. Alright. Now we are approaching Vaziani. Let's enable the autopilot back, couple for waypoint 3, as you can see here, waypoint 3, and couple the altitude autopilot 2 from the B-alt. We have ATC, autopilot for speed, autopilot for heading coupled, and autopilot for altitude coupled. So now the plane is flying by itself again. Let me just accelerate time or check the message history again. And he said, don't forget to reset the autopilot, blah, blah, blah. So we have to reach the waypoint 3 position. Resume, please. Okay, Control Z will accelerate time. As you can see here, we have 19, 18, 17, 15, 10, 12, 9, 7, 5, and 2 nautical miles.
Vaziani now, and the autopilot should be turning the aircraft to the right to line up with the runway. Once the aircraft levels out, turn off the autopilot, reduce speed to less than 250 knots, then lower the landing gear and flaps. This time, though, allow the aircraft to begin a slow descent toward the runway. Once the aircraft settles down, adjust speed to about 130 knots. The speed is slower this time because we're actually landing. Once this is done, make small throttle and pitch trim adjustments to bring the E-bracket down to the velocity vector, then keep both placed on the end of the runway. Use the stick to make left or right adjustments to align yourself with the runway, but be sure not to make any pitch changes with it. Remember, when the E-bracket and velocity vector are paired, pitch is controlled with the throttle only. Resist the temptation to use the stick if the velocity vector slides up or down. Just add or remove throttle as required. Continue flying in this manner until the aircraft touches down on the runway. As you get closer, place the velocity vector right on the runway numbers and prepare for a jolt.
So we are preparing for the actual landing. So I'm pushing my nose down. I have 300 knots. I have to reduce it to 250. I'm applying the air brake right now, full air brake out. Okay, I'm slowing down the plane. At 250 I will take out, I will lower the gear. I'm trying also to align already with the airfield, which is right in front there. Alright. So I have like 255 right now. I can lower my gear. Gears out. Yep. There's the airfield. And flaps to full position right now. I already sense a movement. Alright, and now everything is in controlling the glide.
Altitude. Altitude.
I closed my airspeed right now and I'm trimming up. So as you can see, I'm trying to lose altitude. And that's why I'm keeping my velocity vector down before the airfield. I'm trimming up again, as my purpose is to have the velocity vector and the E-bracket here at the beginning of the airfield. Of course with the proper ASP too. Which is 135, pretty low right now, so I'm still accelerating a little bit. And as you see, when I'm accelerating, my E-bracket is coming up. So I would like to be a little bit more lower to have less altitude. It's good as it is right now also. So see, it's before the airfield, but I should be on the beginning of the airfield. Right? But I will try to accelerate just before I reach that point, so my E-bracket will climb. Alright. I'm slowing down. I'm accelerating. I'm accelerating. And I'm slowing down. So as he said, we have to bring down the plane.
Touchdown. Use the brakes and speed brakes to slow
And
the
air
aircraft
brake
down
applied.
until you can make a safe turn off the runway to one of the taxiway entrances to the left.
I'm trying to brake and slow down as fast as I can. It's also safer this way. And I want to catch the first exit from the airfield. which is somewhere around here to the left. It's marked by blue lights. So this was for me the second time that I'm doing this, regarding that I switched off the video signal yesterday and I had to redo all this again. And I have to move the plane to the parking area, which is parking number 1, as I recall.
Over to parking spot 1.
Yeah.
You can locate it by accessing the F10 map and referencing it to your current location. Once there, execute the shutdown procedure. The lesson will be complete once the aircraft is parked in spot 1 and completely shut down.
Including the engines. So I will stop here right now, bring up the map. Just 1 second. All right, F10, and zoom in with your mouse wheel. I'm zooming in. I'm here F. This is me, and I'm searching parking spot number 1. Do you see how many parking places are here? Somewhere around 79, not 90. So number 1 is right here. So I have to take a left turn and get to the other side of the airfield. Let's press F1, accelerate, and turn it to the left. Let's bring up the taxi lights. What do you say? Let's see, where are the taxi lights? Here somewhere on the left side. Log taxi light on. So now we have the lights too. And now we don't worry about hitting somebody because we don't see anything because it's pitch black. Alright, let's see what about the lights from the cockpit. Let's see the console lights, the panel right here. Let's bring up this one here. See? Green, green, leave it green, yeah? Let's see what this one here does. This one. See? Let me adjust the heading a little bit. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm a little bit too fast. Not that fast. I'm wiggling with my rudder. Alright. So this here, it's adjusting the HUD. See? Let's see. What about this? The flood, the general light in the cockpit. Look at this, beautiful. Nice lighting. And we also have this button, which is another general lighting. Slow the play down because we are approaching the parking area designated for us, which are from number 5 to 1. But I have to park it on number 1. So I'm actually here at around number 3 or number 2, and somewhere around here should be number 1. Okay, full stop. Bring out the map with F10 and check up our position, which is almost on number 1. Let's do it for Gunthrek sake. Go a little bit more further. Stop here. Alright, checking up again and almost on number 1. I think this is alright. And now starting the shutdown procedure, which is beginning from the trim button and applying the parking brake, pulling it out with the mouse wheel if you don't have a button assigned to it, oxygen off, right here on the back left panel, shutting down the radar panel here to off position, and turning off the radios. Number 1, radio number 2 off, turning off the TACAN off, and opening the canopy. Nice sound. Alright, let's turn off the AMPCD from this button here. Turn off the HUD. We have no more HUD. Turn off the left MDI, the right MDI. That's interesting. These are turned off. Everything should be okay. Something, oh, this one here wasn't turned off all the way. And the last thing, let's shut down the battery.
Good job. Let's go grab a beer at the O Club, then you should really get some rest. Training starts first thing in the morning.
And all the lights, and last the engines. The left engine and the right engine. And now the plane is fully shut down. Nice and hot and dark, because it's hot right now. Okay. Let's turn off the mission to the campaign and see what happens. Quit. We should have the results also. Right, so last time I did it I had 100, and this time I think it's still 100. The score, let's end the mission, and it's asking me if I want to rewrite the results. Yes, still 100 points. So these were the first 1, 2, 3 missions from the first chapter from the Gunthrek Academy with the Beagle fix. Thank you Gunthrek, thank you Beagle for the fix pack, and you'll have everything in the description, the video description, the link towards the mission, the instructions where to copy the mission files. And thank you for subscribing, thank you for watching, thank you for flying with me. I'm Vince, and it's late, I'm bugging out. Ciao.